John Evans had been out of town on business for just over a week and was supposed to be gone for another 4 days, but he finished his errands early and decided to head home early to surprise his wife, Beth. It was 11 a.m. on Tuesday morning when John walked into his house through the front door. In his hands, he had a dozen roses and a bottle of wine. He expected to find Beth reading a book on the couch or in the kitchen preparing lunch, but she wasn't there. He heard noises coming from the bedroom down the hall and figured Beth was putting away laundry or something. He crept along the corridor, hoping to surprise her. But when he got closer, it was he who was in for a surprise. The unmistakable sounds of sex came from the bedroom. The door opened just enough for John to look into the bedroom. He couldn't see the bed directly, but the mirror on Beth's dresser gave him everything he needed. There on the bed, John's friend Mark was having sex with his wife, with whom he had been married for 4 years. John stood motionless in that moment, his heart breaking. He dropped the roses and almost dropped the wine, but held it because he knew Mark and Beth would hear it. As John's eyes filled with tears, his ears filled with something else. "Oh, baby, you love it when I make love to you, don't you?" Mark asked. "Yes, God, yes," Beth answered. "Your husband can't please a woman like I can?" Mark asked smugly. "He's never home long enough. He's always traveling, but he's a great lover, the best I've ever had." Beth said, "If you think so, maybe I'll just go home," said Mark. He stopped having sex with her. "No, please don't do this. I don't want you to leave. You're a good lover too. With John, it's different. He and I make love, but with you, we just have sex," Beth said. "So you want me to continue loving you?" Mark asked. "Yes, God, yes," Beth shouted. "Ask for it. Please continue to love me." "Okay, but I don't want you to talk about him anymore when you're with me," said Mark. Mark went back to having sex with fucking Beth. John listened carefully to the entire conversation and now realized that this was not some simple mistake. It was a long story. He became angry and had an uncontrollable urge to rush in and put an end to it. The problem was that Mark was 35 pounds heavier than John, and he was a boxer, so John had no chance in the fight. But John remembered the gun he had in his office. John crept down the hall to his office. He put down the bottle of wine, picked up the shotgun, then hesitated as he reached for the shells. Which one should he use? He had regular cartridges, but he also had a box of cartridges with rubber bullets and a smaller powder charge. He bought them for target practice. They wouldn't be lethal, but they would allow him to get his point across. John agonized over what ammo to use for a few minutes. Kill them, or just scare the crap out of them. John made his choice and loaded the rubber bullets into the shotgun, then crept back down the hallway. John quietly opened the door and entered the room. Beth and Mark were too caught up in their illicit sex to notice John enter. Their first sign that they were not alone was when John sharply cocked the hammer of the shotgun to prepare it to fire. "Darling, I'm home," John shouted in a sadistic tone. "Oh, shit," Mark shouted. Mark rolled off Beth and tried to grab his pants, but John aimed the shotgun and fired. It hit Mark in the groin. He collapsed on the floor, writhing in pain. "Oh my God, you shot him! John, what the hell are you doing?" Beth shouted. "I stand up for my rights as a husband, Beth. You are my wife and he had sex with you at our home." "I have every right to take revenge," said John. "Is it worth killing someone?" Beth asked. "Oh, I'm not going to kill him. These are rubber bullets. They didn't even damage the skin. I'm just teaching my so-called friend a lesson as for you," said John. John shot Beth in the stomach. She doubled over in pain and vomited all over the bed. "You too hurt me. You ruined my life. So it's only fair that I ruined yours in return," said John. John dialed his cell phone. "Hello?" answered Lisa. "Lisa, this is John. It's very important that you come to my house right away. You need to see something," said John. "What is this, John?" asked Lisa. "It's a surprise. Hurry up. The front door is open. Come in," said John. Lisa was Mark's wife. And after calling her, John called Beth's parents, her closest friends, Mark's boss, and the pastor of the church, in which both Beth and Mark were very active. He sat in the chair. Beth used to get dressed and kept his shotgun at the ready in case Mark or Beth tried to leave. Mark was still in too much pain and Beth was too scared to move. After just a few minutes of waiting, people began to appear and head to the bedroom. "My God, what's going on here?" Lisa asked when she saw John with a shotgun. "Go look at the other side of the bed," said John. Lisa walked up and saw her husband lying on the floor naked and grimacing in pain. "Oh my God, did they have sex?" Lisa exclaimed. "Yes, I came home early to surprise my wife with wine and roses, but instead I was surprised to find your husband having sex with my wife." "Apparently this has been going on for quite some time," said John. "I don't see any blood." "Did you shoot him?" asked Lisa. "I used a rubber bullet, but I hit him right in the groin. His manhood is apparently starting to swell by this point. For a while, he won't be the same lover he was," said John. "I don't give a damn. He'll never touch me again." "Consider yourself divorced, you piece of shit," Lisa shouted. The rest of the people John had called began to show up to inspect the scene. "You are a worthless tramp. John loves you and gives you a wonderful home and a wonderful life. And this is how you repay him," Beth's mother exclaimed. She started hitting Beth and had to be restrained by Beth's father. "We're so sorry our daughter did this to you, John. If there is anything we can do for you, let us know," said her father. "You can take her the hell out of my house, and someone needs to take this piece of trash," John said, pointing at Mark. Her parents dressed Beth and tried to drag her to the door. "No, John, don't make me leave. We can work this out. Please let me stay," Beth begged. "Beth, we're done with you. I will never forgive you for what you did. I only chose rubber bullets because I still love some part of you. Otherwise, you and the lover would both be dead right now, and I would be on my way to prison. Get her out of here," said John. Despite shooting 2 people with a potentially lethal weapon, the police never arrived and they never questioned John. The day after this, John served Beth with divorce papers. They were living in a no-fault divorce, but her parents were so terrible at what their daughter had done that they cut her off from her trust fund and gave John a nice lump sum. So even after they split, what they had in common was that he left quite wealthy. Beth became an alcoholic and was married and divorced several times. Lisa immediately divorced Mark, and she married a nice guy who treats her right. As for Mark, he suffered a serious injury to his groin and had to undergo several surgeries, but he never fully recovered. After his divorce, John dated many women but was never serious about any of them. He decided that he would not be able to trust anyone like that for a very long time. As he pours himself a beer, he tells the story of what happened and always emphasizes how difficult the decision was to choose between rubber bullets and real ones. No one listening to this story seems to understand how difficult the decision to choose rubber bullets was. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.